Plains are broad, level to hilly, lowland areas. Plateaus are highlands with broad surfaces, interrupted by deep valleys. The plains and plateaus form most of the land surface of North America. North America has two basic regions of plains: the coastal plain, along the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico, and the interior plain, which extends almost the entire length of the continent. The Appalachian Mountains on the east separate the two plains. The Rocky Mountains, part of the Western Cordillera, border the interior plain. North America also has broad-surfaced highlands, plateaus. The plateaus and plains of North America contain the densest populations on the continent. Let's see how land surface, soil, and climate are related to the places where North Americans live on the plains and plateaus. The Atlantic coastal plain was one of the first regions settled in the New World. The coastal plain is narrow at its north end. Toward the south, it extends farther inland. Most of the southern land is rolling, sloping gently down to the Atlantic Ocean. Portions of the coast near the sea are almost level, creating swampy marshes. But most of the Atlantic coastal plain is warm, non-swampy land with rich, well-drained soil. It's ideal for the growth of tobacco and cotton. The broad, nearly level land allows for machine cultivation. In the 1700s, settlers moved westward up the river valleys of the fertile Atlantic coastal plain until they came to a region of waterfalls and rapids. These changes in the rivers clearly mark the western edge of the Atlantic coastal plain. Because of the falling waters, this edge is known as the fall line. Early factories and mills were built along the fall line to harness the water power. Around many such mills, industrial cities grew. Their location clearly marks the fall line. West of the line is the Piedmont, a region of gently rolling hills that slope gradually upward toward the Appalachian Mountains. The Piedmont soil, like that of the coastal plain, has long been used for growing tobacco. North, in Virginia and Pennsylvania, apples are a major crop. In the southern portion of the Piedmont, cotton is the major crop. In the rich southern cotton belt, cotton textile producing cities have grown. The largest is Atlanta, Georgia. Over 3,000 different products are manufactured here. From the Atlantic coastal plain and the Piedmont region, some settlers moved westward into the Gulf coastal plain. The Gulf coastal plain is mostly fertile, level land, easy to cultivate. The spring and summer rainfalls are heavy, producing the climate that cotton needs to thrive. The western end of the Gulf coastal plain, located in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, is rich with black gold, petroleum. Over half the petroleum produced in the United States comes from the Gulf coastal plain. The southern and southeastern United States is not all a broad plain. In Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma is the Ozark Plateau, a region of hilly land with many parts too steep for farming. However, fruit farming is carried out within the valleys. The southern margin of the Ozarks is high and edged with mountains, which are heavily forested. This timberland is a valuable resource. Another natural resource is the rich mineral deposits in the Ozarks. East of the Ozark Plateau is the massive mineral-rich Appalachian Plateau. Pioneers reached this plateau when they crossed through the Appalachian Mountains. They found the plateau a region of steep-sided valleys. In the south, the Appalachian Plateau is known as the Cumberland Plateau. The first settlers of the region found valuable resources: timber, iron ore, and coal, and plentiful water power. Farther north, the Appalachian Plateau is higher in elevation and is known as the Allegheny Plateau. Migrating pioneers once struggled to cross the deep-valleyed Allegheny Plateau in their wagons. Today, modern roads cross the plateau and link the coastal plain with the interior of the United States. Transportation has always played an important role in the settlement of the Allegheny Plateau. One of the first pioneer developments was Fort Pitt, now Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Many resources have helped Pittsburgh grow, but coal and river transportation were among the most important. Coal helped make Pittsburgh a great steel-producing center. West of the Appalachian Plateau is the interior plain, which extends north to Canada and south into Mexico. The interior plain can be divided into the Great Plains on the west and the central lowlands on the east. The first settlers into the central lowlands found Ohio and Indiana thickly covered with forest. The land had to be cleared before the fertile soil could be plowed. The timber was used to build homes, furniture, fences, and for cooking and heating. As the best lands were being settled, other pioneers pushed farther west into Illinois and Iowa. They found a rolling plain where trees were scarce and the grass grew high, the prairies of North America. Today, in the eastern part of the central lowlands, corn grows well in the dark, rich soil. The summers are hot, and the rainfall is plentiful. The gently rolling land makes it easy to use machinery for planting, cultivating, and harvesting. In the far western region of the lowlands, Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, there is less rain, not enough for plentiful crops of corn, but sufficient for wheat. The level land retains the limited rain and allows it to sink into the soil. In the rolling, hilly terrain of the northern lowlands, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan, the soil is stony and less fertile. Dairy farming is the big business in the hilly region, where grassy pastures and crops of hay and alfalfa grow very well. The central lowlands include a small portion of Canada, the St. Lawrence Great Lakes lowlands. It is home for over half the population of Canada. The small region is an area of large industrial cities and of fertile farmlands. From the fertile farms of the central lowlands, pioneers moved westward. West of the 100th meridian, they found the rainfall less than 20 inches in an average year. This drier region, with sparse vegetation and vast open spaces, is the Great Plains. It was the historic land of cowboys and Indians, of sodbusters and homesteaders. Today it is the land of cattlemen and cattle drives. Ranching and grain farming are the big businesses. The Great Plains are vast. Winds move freely over the land, and the temperature varies from extremely hot to extremely cold. The intense climatic extremes and the scarcity of water slowed early settlement, and even today the population is sparse. The Great Plains extend north into Canada, where wheat ranches stretch endlessly in every direction. The Great Plains rim another region of Canada, the Great Canadian Shield. It is a vast area that covers almost half of Canada. It is a huge evergreen forest called the taiga. Many regions of the Shield are difficult to explore because of the summer swamps and winter snows. Much of the Canadian Shield is a forested wilderness, thinly populated by Indians, fur traders, and prospectors. Far north in Canada is a low, treeless plain. This is the tundra region, swamps and low vegetation. Tundra dominates the northernmost portion of the interior plain of North America. The southern portion of the interior region is the coastal plains of Mexico. The arid northern portion of the Mexican coast is a land of low, thorny bushes and trees. Farther south, the coastal plain becomes a tropical rainforest. Much of the land area of Mexico consists of the Mexican Plateau. The southern base of the plateau is a series of volcanic mountains. The volcanic soils of the rugged region are fertile, and there is ample rainfall for corn and beans. North of the volcanic region, in the center of the plateau, is Mexico City, the country's capital and leading center of culture, industry, and transportation. The city contrasts with the northern half of the Mexican plateau, the Mesa del Norte, a dry and desolate region. Farming is possible with irrigation. The Mexican plateau merges in the north with the intermontane plateaus of the United States. A portion of this is the Colorado Plateau. This highland is a semi-arid region of buttes and mesas, isolated tablelands, and vast canyons. The Colorado Plateau has few people, but there are ranchers who graze cattle and sheep on the grasslands. Farmers who raise a variety of crops in the valleys. In its colorful past, the plateau was the home of several American Indian tribes. Navajos living here are members of the largest Indian tribe in the United States. North of the Colorado Plateau, within the Highland Intermontane Plateau system, is the Columbia Plateau. The Columbia Plateau has fertile but dry soil. Great wheat fields thrive on the lofty plateau. With irrigation, fruits and vegetables are grown. Streams and rivers have cut deep canyons, producing areas of great natural beauty. Separating the Columbia and Colorado plateaus is the Great Basin, a section of the intermontane plateaus where most of the land has little agricultural value. The dry, extremely hot Great Basin desert extends westward to the Pacific mountain system. Today, parts of the desert have become resort country, with cities like Las Vegas, Nevada, easily accessible by highways and air transportation. The plains and plateaus of the continent are the regions most highly developed for working and living by the people of North America.